Why, hello there, everybody. How are you doing today? It's me again and again. I am here to encourage you. I am here to embolden you. I am here to empower you. I am here to inform you. I am here to educate you. I am here to inspire you. I am here to motivate you. I'm here to build you up. I'm here to lift you up. I'm here to bring and give you peace. I'm here to bring and give you hope. Because I am here to bring, give, and tell you the truth. The only one that can make sure that you tell the truth, that you obey the law, is you. Let me say that again. The only one that can ensure or make sure that is capable of making sure and ensuring that you tell the truth, that you obey the law, is you. Period. And that's scaring the vast majority of you all. It's called accountability. Accountability's walked in the room, and you're realizing that, uh-oh, I'm going to have to explain what I did and why I did it. That's exactly what you are seeing going on right now in the media, in our government, even right there in your little local locale. You are seeing the effects of accountability. When was the first tremor felt? The second debate, the second presidential debate, when the fake, the fraud, the slave, the criminal, the murderer, the liar, the deceiver, Hillary, said something to the effect of, oh man, can we just think what would happen if someone with the servant's, Trump's temperament was in charge of our law here in the United States of America? You all remember his response. You'd be in jail. That's where she's going. That's where she's going. That's where they're all going. And why are you seeing all of these? I said it several videos back. The criminal wants the law-abiding citizen to believe that the law-abiding citizen is a criminal as well. Because the criminal wants to impose the law on law-abiding citizens. The criminal does not want the law enforced on anyone because they know that once the law is enforced on any criminal, it's only a matter of time before they are held accountable for their crimes. It's called justice. I have complete faith in the law. Why? Because it's Almighty God's law. Now, I have zero confidence, zero faith, zero trust in criminals because they are a criminal. Imposters are criminals. Fakes, frauds are criminals. They aren't for anybody. Remember that. They are for themselves. Period. The criminal's number one fear is accountability. Because the criminal knows that they are a criminal. Why do you think all of these congressional investigations and Senate investigations have been going on for decades and they haven't locked up one criminal? Why is that? Because the criminals are investigating other criminals. The criminal does not want the law enforced. The imposter is an actor. That's all that the imposter is. They're an actor. They are playing a role. They are deliberately, intentionally, and purposely deceiving the trusting, law-abiding citizen. Why? They need the law-abiding citizen to believe that they are one of them. Otherwise, the law-abiding citizen is the one. Otherwise, the law-abiding citizen will demand that the law be enforced, and the fake and fraud imposter pay the penalty for impersonating a authority. Chris Christie just had the opportunity to outlaw Muslim child marriages. He let it pass. Fake and fraud imposter. They're all over the place. They're all over. Think about that for a minute, folks. This staunch, self-professing, staunch conservative could have outlawed, banned child marriages in the state of New Jersey, but he didn't. Why? Because he's a fake, he's a fraud, he's an imposter, he's got a hook in him. And if you don't do what we say, we're going to we're going to pull on that hook, and we're going to expose you. What do you think Bridgegate was? That was just a reminder. We in charge, not you, son. You ain't nothing but a slave. Slave. So that's what you're seeing going on right now in the press. That's what you're seeing going on right now in the Congress, in our government. Because the law is being applied. Again, Corrine Brown. She didn't do anything different than what Hillary did with the Clinton Foundation. Her foundation was just it was just a little mini foundation. Well, she got away with it. Hillary did it. You ain't Hillary. You ain't got that kind of mojo. Well, guess what? Neither does Hillary. Hillary's going down. You can play the race card. You can play play the victim card. You can play the persecuted card. All the heck you want. Folks, this is how they work. This is how they work. Okay? The chief slaves in the government. And you're seeing it clear as day. That's exactly what they are. Because out of all of these Senate investigations, out of all of these congressional investigations, who's ever been convicted? Who's ever paid the price for anything? That'd be a big fat goose egg. Zero. How in the world can they say that they're enforcing the law? Why are they so afraid of enforcing the law? Because they got a hook in them. So what the chief slave has to convince everybody is that if I'm gone, nothing takes place. I said it a couple videos back. So then what they do is they need protection. So they get the stupid people, the lower slaves, the plantation, the government slaves are, in slave terminology, they're the houseboys. They have the same comforts of living in a nice place. So glad I got my shades on. You know, they wear the nice clothes. They can bathe. They can go where they go wherever they go, and they're seen by other people, and they're puffed up by all of the other slave masters, all of the other plantation owners, and they're told what a good little houseboy you are. Just make sure you stay being a good little houseboy. Otherwise, well, we're going to throw you out there with all the common slaves. You're going to have to go live. You're going to be thrown to the law of the jungle. And they don't like you. In fact, if they had their chance, they would kill you just so that they have a chance to move up the ladder and become the next houseboy. So glad I got the shades on. So who were the common slaves? Well, the deceived. The deceived. The ones who are relying and trusting and believing that if that person, that imposter with the title, is ever removed, that that the whole world is going to stop spinning. And he's the only one that can do it. Our guy. So says our guy. Yet, nothing ever gets done. And then the house slave says, well, hey man, guys, look, I tried. And I'm going to keep trying. Because this is a struggle. Very simple. Just tell the dang truth. All the while, they will never admit that they're a slave. Never. On the free men, the free women, of all races and nationalities, of all demographic stature. Again, I said it yesterday. I'm going to say it again today. The vast majority of these stars, celebrities, are slaves. The vast majority of them end up killing themselves because they're so happy, right? Well, they must be happy because look, they got the big house. And, oh yeah, they're so happy. They're snorting stuff up their nose. They're shooting stuff in their veins. All by themselves in that big old giant mansion. And they know that they're really a fake and fraud. Look at how many celebrities kill themselves. Kill themselves. Either through a drug overdose or putting a gun to their head. Jumping out of a window. Is that really what you want to strive for? Why? Because they finally realize that they're a fake and a fraud. They are deathly afraid of being exposed for being a fake and fraud. So, the houseboys, back to the government, the houseboys and housegirls, or houseboys and chambermaids, you know, we have to be politically correct. They got to keep the plantation slave, the workers, satisfied. So they've got to constantly be saying, well, I'm trying my best to give you this, and every now and then we're going to throw you some crumbs, while they're up there living large. Now the free men, the free women of all races, all nationalities, of all economic status, are sitting on the outside calling out. They know they're never going to reach the house slave. Because the house slave, look, he don't want anything to change because he's got it. So glad I got the shades on. He or she has got it made as far as they're concerned. They don't have to work. All they got to do is walk around and be yes men, yes women. That's it. This isn't hard. But the free men, the free women, standing on the outside, saying to the lowest of the low, and trust me, the lowest of the low know that they're the lowest of the low. Because they've been told that every day. Every day by the houseboys, by the chambermaids, by the plantation owner. Hey, look, without us, you wouldn't be able to survive. Don't listen to those free people, because all they're trying to do is get you onto their plantation. No, the servant is trying to free the slave. And then what happens is one of the plantation slaves, and again, these plantations can be anything. Entertainment, government. We're not talking about picking cotton. We're just talking about being a slave. Media. One of the worker slaves, field workers, finally sees the truth and realizes that, wait a minute, hold on a second. I don't have to stay here. Now, what happens to the house slave if all of a sudden all the field slaves leave? The house slave is demoted, so glad I got my shades on, to being a field slave. Because the plantation owner ain't about to go out there and do everything. Because the plantation owner needs the field to be worked. The media people need an audience. Period. Without an audience, they die. Period. A sporting event needs an audience. What is a sporting event without spectators? It's called practice. How about that? So that's what the plantation, that's the field worker's job. The field slave's job is to keep bringing in the audience. To keep the house slave in the house, to keep the plantation owner in the position of authority. And let's stick with entertainment, media and entertainment. Hey man, you want to move up the ladder, you got to do it this way. So says the plantation owner. But if all of a sudden one of the field slaves says, you know what, wait a minute, hold on. I don't need this plantation to define who I am, what I am, and provide for me. I'm going to go independent. Try to leave the plantation. And what does the house slave then runs to the plantation owner and says, hey man, we got a runner. So here's what you got to do. Now, let's go shame them. Let's go shame them, because if the plantation owner, the house slave, the chief slave, what they are deathly afraid of is for one of the field slaves to have any kind of success on their own without them. Because then all of a sudden all of the field slaves are going to say, well, wait a minute, hold on. If Bob can do it, why can't I? If Susie can do it, why can't I? So what do they got to do? They've got to shame, they've got to belittle, they've got to cut down, they've got to destroy that threat. And the threat is, so glad I've got my shades on, success. Because as soon as all of the field slaves, there's many more field slaves than there are house slaves, houseboys, chambermaids. And there's many, many, many more field slaves than there are plantation owners. Without the field slave, the plantation owner's dead. Without the plantation owner, the house servant is dead. I can't make it any more clear than this. And again, this is not a racial thing, folks. This is just what you're seeing. So, what are you seeing now? You're seeing the chambermaids, the chamber servants, the house slaves, the houseboys. That's the Congress, that's the Senate. A little nervous now because accountability is coming in, and they can't do anything about it because it's the president. The president is ensuring that accountability is coming. They feared this day more than all other days because the servant brings in others. So glad I got the shades on. Servants that are there to free you up. Let's make America great again. Let's put America back to work again. Wait a minute, hold on now. If people are working, then they won't need our government subsidies. They won't need the EBT, and they're going to get off the damn plantation. So glad I got my shades on. They won't need welfare. Then, all of the ones that are working the system, all the lazy people, there's no more excuse. We got jobs now. Because the servant came in. But what's really making them nervous is accountability's coming in. The chamber servants, the houseboys, the chambermaids, the house slaves. Isn't it ironic that it's called the House of Representatives? Just thought I'd throw that in there. Are now having to explain, why haven't you been the servants? Oh, because you're not a servant. You're an imposter. You're a fake and a fraud. I've been telling you all for months. The list is long and deep. So what are we doing now? What do? Why, they attack, smear, defame. They want the law-abiding citizen to believe that the servant is a criminal. Bill Maher I told you yesterday, I talked about the Bill Maher thing. He had a white guy on there. No, these people, they are chamber slaves. They are houseboys, is what they are. Because without their audience, they're nobody. They need to keep reproducing more slaves. And the easiest way to keep the slave on the plantation is to make the slave believe that there is no other way except to stay on the daggum plantation. Folks, I'm not telling you anything new. There have been many, many different men and women of all different ethnicities that have been saying this very same thing. D'Souza is one that comes to mind. There have been books written about this, folks. But the slave, those who are comfortable with just being lazy, doesn't want to hear it. But that's okay. That's their choice. They're going to have to explain why they didn't do anything. Because once all their support is gone, then, well, hold on a second. Why are you still here? Why are you still standing in that three-walled room, professing it to be a four-walled room? But anyway, back to Maher. Maher had another guy on it, and now they're telling the president what he has to do, what he can and cannot do. Oh, it's so wrong that he fired Comey, and then called Jeff Sessions a toad. You're a criminal. You're a criminal. No, that's who they really fear. They've really feared Jeff Sessions. The President of the United States, you all don't know this, because y'all been programmed by the stupid little people in the stupid little box. He cannot prosecute anybody. That's up to his Justice Department. Well, guess what? Jeff Sessions, and this is what the white guy said. I don't know his name. I could care less. He's a slave. Said, well, that toad Sessions reimposed those archaic penalties for drug use. Yeah, just be a slave. Stick something in your vein. Stick something up your nose. Just stay right there. Be docile. Be totally, completely dependent on the plantation. Michelle Mackin is another one. I'm sorry, I'm just having names pop in. That's another one that said this very same thing. So don't even, you race baiters, don't even come at me with this racist junk. Anybody can be a slave. So that why are they attacking Jeff Sessions? Why are they attacking President Trump? Now the Washington Post comes out. They're getting desperate, folks. Accountability is coming. These people are getting ready to be cuffed and stuff. Now, a lot of people are starting to wake up and ask questions like, why isn't these Republican staunch conservatives, why isn't Trey Gowdy standing up and saying, this is wrong, this needs to be dealt with? I don't know. Ask Trey Gowdy. Why isn't Songbird? Why isn't Lion Ted? Why aren't they defending this attack on the servant? Oh, because they got hooks in them. Why do you think nothing's happened in all of these decades of congressional investigations and Senate investigations, Hillary's still walking around. We didn't even look into that. Well, guess what? That's a the Washington Post story is an out and out lie. I was listening to Jay Sekulow, and Jay Sekulow said it. The leak is the crime. The President of the United States of America cannot leak information because the President of the United States of America is the Commander-in-Chief, and he can declassify. He's the only one in the United States government that can declassify information like that. Doesn't need anybody's permission. Why do you think they've been trying to stop all these executive orders? It's not being stopped. These criminals they're scared. They're scared because those who have been convinced, those who have been lied to by the house slaves, by the houseboys, by the chambermaids, are realizing that they are the ones that are keeping the house slaves in the house, that's keeping the plantation owner in a position of power. And all they got to do is stand up and walk away. Because the law-abiding citizens, the servants, are ready, willing, and able to stand with them and show them how they can be a servant too. That's what's going on in our country. Slaves are waking up to the fact that they've been lied to. I said it yesterday. I'm going to say it again today. Not every slave knows that they're a slave. Your eyes are opening up. How stupid is this? The crime was the leaking. How if it was just the president and his trusted confidants and the Russians and their people, if they were the only ones in the room, then how in the world does anybody else, how does the Washington Post know what was said? Oh, that's called a lie. And then Jay Sekulow also said they looked it up. There's like 15 different rules, 15 different standards that the media, that you have to meet to hold the media liable, held accountable for lying. That's what President Trump, or then candidate Trump, said, hey, you know what? We need to do something about that. Because these people are hiding behind these laws. Thank you so much, you useless lawyers. Making loopholes. That's not justice. That's slander. That's libel. That's treason in this case, because you are attacking our government. You are attacking freedom. You are obstructing justice. You are claiming that the servant is just like you, a fake and fraud imposter, a criminal. That's what they're afraid of. They see it coming down. They've got to do something to stop President Trump and all of his administration. Why do you think he still doesn't have all of his positions filled yet? Because the servant brings in other servants. The house slave, I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again today. The slave hates the servant because the servant exposes the slave for being a slave. Because the servant removes excuses, removes obstacles, removes the chains. And the servant doesn't stop until the slave until all of the obstacles, until all of the chains, until all of the excuses are removed. Because the chief slave, the house slaves, are the ones that are telling the lower slaves, no, there's too many obstacles in the way. You can't do it. Just sit right there. Stay on the plantation. Keep living in the shack. Keep eating crumbs. And the servant is on the outside saying, you know what? I'm going to remove that obstacle because I want those people free. A servant makes other servants. A slave can indeed be a servant. They just need to get away from the chief slaves. They just need to get off the plantation and experience it for themselves, that they too can have the very same thing. They can have what the house slave has, as well as much, much more. All they've got to do is just start doing. That's what's going on. These fakes, these frauds, these criminals, these imposters are accountability is walking right at them. And they're getting so nervous now, they're doing all that they can do to rile up all of the deceived, all of the slaves, and want the slaves to rise up and do something. When the slaves see that they create their own little paradoxical situation. The slaves then turns around and tells the chief slaves and says, wait a minute, you all said that there's nothing that we can do. This is on you, Bubba. If you can't do anything about it, then what in the world makes you think that, what in the world would make us think that we can do about it? Oh, look. Truth just sets in. Then the slave realizes that, wait a minute, I've been lied to. You obviously need me. And if you need me, then that means I'm capable of doing something. So glad I got the shades on. Which means you are not in charge of me. That means I'm in charge of you. Accountability is here, folks. A lot of people got a lot of explaining to do as to why they haven't kept their oath. That's what all of these slaves, that's what all of these chief slaves are afraid of. Accountability. Well, guess what? Accountability's here. Buckle on up, bucko. Laissez les bâtons rouler. We about to have a whole lot of fun. Because we about to set a whole lot of people free. All being set free by the truth. It's time to start doing. It's time to hold these fakes and frauds accountable. That's what's going on. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Because this is a move of Almighty God. And absolutely nothing stops a move of Almighty God. Because absolutely nothing stops the will of Almighty God. And that, my friend, is the truth. Just saying.